Good afternoon. Today I have the lovely Val back with me. Hi Val, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi Donna, thanks for having me again. My name is Valerie Keogh. I am a writer. I write crime and psychological thrillers. I was a nurse in my day. I gave up nursing in 2018, I think, to write full-time. So I write full-time now. I have just finished my 20th book, which is out in February. I have another book coming out in October. It's called, I have to put my glasses on so I can see. It's called The Couple in the Photograph. I don't have a paperback yet, but that's what it's going to look like when it comes out. It's going to be gorgeous. And that's out on the 4th of October. And I love writing. I love what I do. I love chatting to people like lovely Donna. And that's me in a nutshell, really. That's all I do. I'm just I'm either writing or editing all the time, because publishers nowadays have a quick turnover. So I write 3 to 4 books a year. So I'm either writing a book, editing a book, or thinking about the next book, or sometimes doing all 3 at the same time. So it can be a bit chaotic. Sometimes it's difficult to remember who I am, which is slightly worrying. Very worrying when I'm actually writing about a killer and I forget who I am and who the killer is. So that's me. Yeah.
And would you like to tell us a little bit about your book that's out on the 4th of October?
4th of October is a book about a couple, and they're called Kerry and Nathan, who are married 25 years and they're celebrating their marriage. They have 2 children who make a poster of a photograph they had taken on the honeymoon, and they have it blown up and put into the side of bus shelters to surprise them. Unfortunately, it's a bigger surprise for Kerry because she's actually having an affair and she's afraid her lover will see it and get upset, which of course he does. And then he insists that they meet and she says no. So he says she'll regret it. And she does. And things start happening and she thinks it's the ex-lover's fault, but it turns out it's actually something else that's going on in their lives. And as that's happening, her husband starts becoming a bit distant. And then more things happen and it all blows up into a big mess. And and it was actually the first book I wrote that I cried when I was writing it, one of the scenes in it. So not that I'm hoping that readers will cry, but I hope it's right. It's always difficult writing sad parts. When it's sad, I have this posh light behind my computer. It's supposed to make me look nice, but it's just starting to fall down. So it was actually a book I really enjoyed writing, and the end was turned out quite well. I'm a pantser, so I never know how books are going to turn out, and the characters tend to take over as I'm writing, and sometimes go off in tangents that I don't expect. In fact, it was quite funny because this book, the idea for it came from the council were doing some work on a very old wall outside my house. And I was watching the guys sanding down this stone without any masks on them. I was absolutely gobsmacked. So I started researching the types of stone and the problems they cause. And that led me to writing this story. And if anybody reads it, they'll see when they read it, that there's some stones that are really dangerous and they cause severe disease and death if you're very unlucky. So it is very odd where you get ideas for stories from. So I have to thank those workmen outside for not wearing masks to give me this brilliant idea.
That's why I never ask authors where they get their ideas from, because I realise it could be just anything. Like it's the weirdest things.
Yeah, the absolute most bizarre, obscure things can trigger something in our. I think writers have weird brains. And bizarre things can just trigger this little patch in the back of our heads that say, ooh, that's a story. And that's what happens. You get a story.
Yeah, I know you're weird. I've learnt this.
Yeah.
Not scary weird, thankfully.
Sometimes we're scary weird. Yeah, sometimes we're scary weird.
As long as that's just with your partners, that's fine.
Yeah.
I do feel sorry for authors' partners. They get the raw deal, I think.
Yeah, and my husband doesn't read, so he's read none of my books. He likes looking at the covers. That's about it.
Well, that's something, I suppose. It's an interest.
Yeah, he likes the covers. But that's about. He's an accountant, so he's into numbers, and I'm into words. That's a good combination.
Yeah. Out of all the books you've written, do you have a favourite character?
I think, probably my favorite character is from a series I've self-published. I write a series called the Hudson and Connolly series, and there's a character in that called Nicola Connolly, and she was a nurse, and she's also a serial killer. And she's a great character to write because she's really evil. She does horrible things. So I can really let my imagination run riot because she's got no morals compass at all. So she will do really bad things. And it's great to write her. And it's great because I have readers saying they like her and they can't understand why they like her, which is why I really like it even better. So so I've written 4 in that series. Hopefully I'm going to write more sometime. But I really like writing her character. I think writing very bad characters can be quite fun.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of people say that, funnily enough.
Yeah.
And out of all the books you've written, what's been the most fun scene or chapter to write, and what's been the most difficult, obviously without spoilers?
Because I'm a pantser, every book I find difficult because I don't know what's going to happen. And it's very difficult, when editors ask for a synopsis of a book and you have absolutely no idea because you don't know where it's going to go anyway. So I think this book, the one that's coming out in October, I found quite difficult because I really, apart from that, the idea that I started with about this stone, I really had no idea. And I started writing without any plan at all where the story was going to go. And at one stage, I didn't know it was going to work out at all. And my one that's out in February, I was totally convinced it was going to be a disaster because like that, again, I didn't plan. And I didn't even have a stone idea for the one in February. And I have a wonderful beta reader, Jenny O'Brien. She's a writer as well. And she reads she's my first, you've met Jenny, or you've spoken to Jenny, haven't you? Jenny's, yeah. And she's my first reader. So, and every time I say to her, it's rubbish. And every time she says to me, you say that every time. I keep saying to her, one of these days, it is going to be rubbish. And you're going to be the person who has to tell me. And I thought this was going to be one that's out in February. I really thought it was going to be the one she was going to have to say it's rubbish. And she thought it was great. So I think writers never know whether their books are good or not. And certainly I never do. So it's always difficult. So sometimes I think the one book I found that came together for me very easily, and I knew as I was writing, I knew it was kind of good, was The Three Women. I loved writing that, and it did come together for me logically, if that makes sense. So I kind of knew at the end that it was going to be okay.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite ones, I think.
Yeah, I did enjoy writing that.
Stephen King says that he thinks that every book that he sends to his editor is going to be rubbish and gobbledygook as well. So if he thinks it, then that should.
I think most writers do, to be honest. And people often ask me, what advice would I give? And I say, don't judge your own work because you just can't. You need somebody, like yourself or my friend to read and give honest opinions. And Jenny and I have that mutual agreement. We are honest with each other because the last thing you want is someone saying, oh yeah, it's really good, when it's absolutely not. So we are honest with each other as to whether our work is good or not. I read for her as well. So it's brilliant to have someone that you can trust because it's a difficult business. It's hard being a writer at times. I love it. Like it can be. So, yeah.
I know there must be fun. Otherwise, I honestly don't know why you lot would do it because it just sounds incredibly stressful.
And it has its moments, but I mean, because Jenny's nursing and when I'm moaning about the job, she says, but you're not nursing anymore. It's very true. I'm not nursing anymore. So, and I love what I do. So sitting down, writing the stories in my head is my idea of heaven. I mean, okay, editing it can be tough, and there are times when I'm thinking to myself, this is rubbish. Well, every time I think it's rubbish, and that can be hard to get through. And then you get bad reviews, and they can be a bit soul destroying. Sometimes I try. A lot of readers say they never read their bad reviews, but I can never ignore them either. So you read them and then you try to forget about them, but they can be hard. But it's a great job. I love what I do. So even the editing.
And talking about editing, when you are doing your editing, what's your most overused word or phrase that you have to cut out?
Oh my God, my editor would be cringing. I think I had 200 justs in my last book. Cut out justs, cutting out that. The word that is usually used inappropriately or just not essential. I'm a lot better than I used to be. I think, like most writers, we learn as we go along. So I think I try to, each editing process, each book I write, I try the next time not to overuse those particular words. What happens though sometimes is you end up using an alternative word too many times. So instead of just, I might have simply. So I might have 150 simplies instead of just. So yeah, it's a dangerous thing then to just substitute one word for just a separate word. Then you're still just overusing a word. I have stopped using cliches as much because my editor hates them. So I try not to use cliches, but I've just broken I'm terrible for doing that with my glasses, swinging off it, and I've just broken it. Lucky they're only $2.99. I think most writers use cliches when they're, especially the first draft, because you just want to get the words down. So there's a lot of cliches that I just take out then in the second draft or the third or the fourth or the fifth. And when it goes through the editing process, they get deleted.
Just is a really common one actually as well, so you're not alone.
Yeah, it's one of those. That and then of course the nodding and the smiling. As my editor said to me one time, she said, "You have such a wide variety of smiles. Delete them all." Okay. Smiles and nods and shaking of heads. So they're all the ones you take out, usually in the second draft. And I think to myself that I haven't put many in, and then I do a search for nod or smile, and I realize that I've got 75 or 100 or 150 or 200. It's terrible because if you're trying to get your word count up and you think you've got 80,000 words written, brilliant, and then you realize 500 of them were words you wanted to delete.
Oh God, yeah. See, weirdos, don't know why you do it, honestly. Sounds too stressful.
Yeah.
What's the weirdest or most unusual feedback or request you've had from a reader?
Oh, have I had any? I don't think I've had any weird requests. Oh, what a boring life I lead. Apart from can you send me a free book? No. You get the odd reader who'd say, I mean, I obviously, like most writers, I give away books for competitions and promotions and stuff. But when someone you don't actually know messages say, "Can I have a free book and I'll do a review for you?" I go buy my free book. Go buy my book for 99p and do me a review, please. I haven't had any weird requests, which is very sad, really. It must be very boring.
Any weird reviews?
Oh, you always get weird reviews. I get reviews saying that one I liked that she writes like she's writes like she's a high school girl. I wish I were. Fortunately, I'm way too old to be a high school girl, but anyway, never mind. Nothing that stands out. I'm sure if I went back through all my reviews, I'd find you a couple of doozies, but you get people who review for just who put in strange things like she says this or she says that, or doesn't know what she's talking about. I don't know. I just make everything up. That's why I'm a writer.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the job and kind of the point.
Yeah.
If you were able to travel to any period of time, either forward or backwards, where would you go?
I think, can I choose two places? Okay. Well, first of all, I'd go back just for a while to meet my father, because he died when I was 5. So I only have very tiny memories. So I'd like to go back and meet him as now that I'm an adult. I'd like to go back and have a long conversation with him and see what he was really like. He was supposed to be very charming, so I'd like to have met him. And then I'd like to go forward, because I'm a Trekkie. I'd love to go forward and be, on Star Trek, basically. Go on those spaceships and have those very sexy uniforms and, yeah, have those big rooms. They always have big bedrooms in Star Trek. I don't know if you ever watched Star Trek. There's some of these humongous great bedrooms. I'm sure they didn't have them in real life, not in real life, but I'm sure they wouldn't have them in real life. And so I'd like to go into the future, way, way, way into the future, so that all wars and pestilence and everything was gone, and we're all living this wonderful life. I know in Star Wars they did have fights with the Klingons and everything, but we wouldn't fight with the Klingons.
No, but yeah, we'd be over that. We just want to just chill and
forward a bit, a few more centuries. I can't believe I broke my glasses. But yeah, the future.
Yeah, I don't have anything to fiddle with, otherwise I'd probably do the same.
I mean, these were nice too.
If you were to be a killer in a book, how would you kill your victims?
I think I'd go down poison. Because if I wanted to be a killer, I think I'd want to be a neat killer. I don't think, because I'm not really into blood and guts and stuff. So I would just want the person gone. So I'd poison them. It's quite funny, because when I wrote my Nicola Connolly series, I was still nursing at the time, and which is why I use a pseudonym, because I was still working as a nurse. I didn't want to use my surname for my books. So that's why I chose my mother's maiden name, Keogh. But anyway, the idea for the Nicola Connolly series was she poisons people, and it was while I was actually, because nursing homes waste horrendous amount of medication, because if their medication is changed, their older medications has to all be disposed of. It can't go back to the pharmacy. It's got rid of. And the same as if somebody dies, you could have a month's medication just come in the door. They don't take it back. It has to be disposed of. So you're talking about thousands of pounds of medication that's disposed of in every nursing home every month. But I was there disposing this medication one month, and I was thinking to myself, if I was a nasty person, what could I do with this medication? And I thought, well, I could actually kill somebody. So that's when that series with Nicola Connolly started. She actually does do what I was thinking about. She takes medication home and she used it to kill people.
Of course. Well, I mean, what else would you do with it?
It's a shame to waste it, really, isn't it?
Yeah, you don't get opportunities like that very often. So,
so she did. She used it to kill a few people. So I have used poison in quite a few of my books, actually. And the one that's coming out in February, I poisoned someone with a garden plant, actually. So it's surprising what you can poison people with when you really want to.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, but I'd like to be neat and tidy if I'm going to kill off somebody, rather than, I wouldn't be into stabbing somebody or anything like that, not unless I really had to. If I really had to, I would, I suppose.
Yeah, poor Malcolm Hollandrake asked me that question, and I said I'd stab someone 100 times. I'm pretty sure he hasn't quite got over that yet.
I bet you wouldn't, Donna.
I don't know where that came from, but it was there, just like that. I didn't even have to think about it. Weird. I worry about myself, I think.
Yeah, I suppose. But you have to write these things, So you have to. I can't remember if I've actually stabbed anybody. I don't think I have, actually. So I can't remember. I probably have. Probably wanted to. That's probably real life.
And has there been any interesting stuff you found out when researching either of these recent books?
Research is great, but the problem is, Donna, as you know yourself from looking at the internet, you can go in to look at one thing and 5 hours later, not 5 hours, I'm exaggerating for effect, but an hour or two later, you're still there. You have to. I think the one I enjoyed probably most was the last in my crime series, the 6th, where I had to research the mummification process, and that was fun. But then you're there reading for ages about the ancient Egyptians and how they mummified and what you had to do and everything, and then of course you have to figure out how you can use it in contemporary life. So my crime series, my criminal was mummifying people, but to mummify a head is much more difficult because you have to take the brain out and everything. So in fact, what she did was she chopped the heads off. So I do make the process simpler, because otherwise you'd spend pages writing about this process, and the readers can, it's interesting from a point, but it can get boring if you write too much of the detail. So I use some of it, but to make it easier, I just chop the heads off. So then those heads ended up being skulls and left in a church in Dublin. And there was 4 of them. So the guy who found them christened them the 4 Marys. And you're too young to remember, but when I was a child, there was a comic called The Bunty, and there was 4 Marys in that. So brought that into the story as well. So then I had to go back and do an internet search for what the 4 Marys were actually called, because I couldn't remember. So it's quite often research leads from one thing to another, to another, to another. So and it does take you away from writing for hours, but it's fun, and you do learn some fascinating things. Like dragging brains out through the nose. It's quite gruesome.
Yeah. I mean, I done forensics, so I know about that stuff anyway, and some pretty gross stuff.
Yeah.
Which is why
I should go to you for ideas of how to kill somebody, actually.
Yeah.
Fantastic ideas, Donna, how to kill a body.
And get away with it too. Just little tricks that you can Yeah, obviously wouldn't tell everyone, because everyone would be trying to kill people, but yeah. I totally forgot what I was going to ask you now. Getting distracted by brains being dragged out of
yes, out your nose.
Yeah, I don't know, I've completely forgotten. What's your biggest procrastination habit? What's the worst thing you're always doing?
Going for coffee. If I get stuck anytime, I have a cup of coffee. I must drink I don't drink, but I make about 15 mugs of coffee a day. But invariably they end up, I might take 2 mouthfuls, then I get back to work. And then I reach my coffee and it's cold. So then I say, oh, I have to go make some coffee. Yeah, making coffee. It's never tidying, believe me, never tidying our housework, as my husband will attest to. Never. I'm the most untidy person. I did actually, when I finished, I handed over my my next book. I handed it over on Tuesday. And I decided yesterday, what day is today? Today's Wednesday. Yeah,
Wednesday.
in the morning, and I thought, now, yesterday afternoon, I tidied the office. That's so boring. Tidy places. I did dump a bit of paperwork stuff. But I'm terrible I'm a very disorganized writer. So I have lots of scrap paper, and I'm constantly writing little notes to myself, like check this, check that, a name that I have to check myself, or a date maybe, or something, anything. I'm constantly writing myself little notes. The problem is I don't necessarily know what I'm referring to when I look back at these things. So I look back at them maybe 3 days later, and I find a name, and I'm thinking, why did I write that down? Or a date? Why did I write that down? So they make no sense to me. So, but I'm afraid to throw them away in case in a later stage they do make sense. So they all stack up. And then I'm afraid to throw them away in case when I'm editing, they might make sense. They get piled away and they shoved into a thing I have over there, a shelf thing. So I keep them until the last editing is done. And then I go through them and throw them all out. An absolute disorganized person, typical the way I write, pantser as in writing and pantser my organizational skills as well. I'm an absolute disaster. And my desk has, I got it in Dorothy House for 40 quid. It's brilliant. It's got 4 drawers on each side of the leg hole thing. Leg hole thing? Yeah, where you put your feet. And I thought to myself now, 8 drawers, I'll be able to be so organized. Except things just get shoved in the drawers. So I just willy-nilly, one of these
exactly.
days too.
Yeah, I'm the same. Rubbish with my uni stuff and that. Before it starts, I have my units and I have everything ready, and then it's just too much hard work to be keeping it organized.
Do you stick Post-its all over your books, Donna? Yeah, I used to love, when I was in uni, I used to love sticking Post-its. All different and different colored ones, and I'd have different colored Post-its for different reasons. Then I forget what the reasons were. So,
I mean, and I do them and then never look at them again. Generally, either.
Yeah. I used to scan stuff religiously. I'd scan pages from books, but I'd never look at them again. It felt like you were actually doing something rather than actually doing any work at all. Yeah, I think it's quite fun.
Student procrastination is pretty much up there with author procrastination. I think it's pretty.
I think you can do anything. Yeah, I mean, I think I would be horrified to show you around this, because I use one of our spare bedrooms as an office, and if I showed you around it, you'd be absolutely horrified. Because first of all, I keep packing stuff for when I send out things, promotional stuff. So that's all piled in one box. I had some on the floor. Only my cat, Fatty Arbuckle, decided it was a great place to have a wee-wee. So he weed all over my bubble wrap.
Oh, lovely.
I was going to tidy it up when I realized it was wet. I don't know when he weed there, bless him. Anyway, so I had to throw all that out. So that's all my bubble wrap is gone, because I wasn't going to wash it or send out cat pissy bubble wrap. So that got tidied into the bin.
Yeah. I'm sure everyone will be very grateful to know that as well.
Oh dear.
And if you're not writing or editing, what do you spend your time doing?
I like walking. I try to go walking every day anyway. I try to walk about between 2 and 3 miles a day. Otherwise, I'm just sitting in front of a computer all day, and it's really bad for your health. So I do, and it tends to clear my brain a lot. So, and I get great ideas when I'm walking as well, because my brain kind of relaxes. So, well, that's what I think anyway. So it leaves it open to more ideas coming in. Sometimes anyway, not always, but sometimes. So I have various routes. I either drive to the canal, which is 5 minutes, 10 minutes drive away, and I walk along the canal, or I walk around here. There's a river nearby, so I walk along the river, which is quite nice.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah, it is nice. I enjoy walking. I used to enjoy gardening, but that's kind of gone out the door a bit because I just don't have time. And it's now a bit of a jungle out there, literally. This weather has been really weird for gardens because it's been wet enough and warm enough, so everything's just gone. So one of these days, I will tackle the garden.
But it's nearly winter, so next year's fine.
There's always next year.
Yeah, who wants to go out there when it's cold? Although it's a lovely day today, but that's beside the point.
Yeah, it is, but it's just hard work. I did some yesterday, but I've got so many things I keep saying I'll do when I finish a book, but then I start another one. So what I have to do is tidy up my wardrobe. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Next time.
Yeah, I have that job to do as well. I have had for a couple of years, maybe.
Well, I have clothes hanging in my wardrobe that I moved here when we moved in 14 years ago. If I didn't wear them in 14 years, I'm ever going to wear them? Probably not. I should get rid of them one of these days. To a charity shop.
Yeah, just buy new ones, it's fine.
I've no room for new ones, so I get rid of my old ones. They say you're supposed to throw out clothes if you haven't worn them for a year. 14 years is a bit past that.
Yeah, just get the whole thing and just chuck them.
Yeah, that'd be nice, wouldn't it?
It would take 5 minutes and job done, sorted, it's fine.
Yeah, but then what happened then is, do you know, have you ever given away clothes? And then about a month later, you say, I must wear that nice whatever. And then I gave it away. I want to wear it now. So yeah, so maybe not.
You have to say goodbye sometime.
Yeah, I suppose. I might do that tomorrow.
Yeah,
Tomorrow. No, tomorrow's my birthday. I'm not doing any work on my birthday.
Oh God, yeah, no. Absolutely not.
Friday.
Yes, Friday. That's it. Definitely. I'll message you and go, did you do it?
Unless you say much I've actually achieved.
Yeah. If God forbid you were to have a fire, which one book would you rescue?
Oh my God. I think I'd rescue my dictionary. I love my Oxford English Dictionary. I could literally sit and flick through the pages of my dictionary for hours. I love words, looking at words and the meanings. Oh, I must use that sometime. What terrible. That is so boring, isn't it? But yeah, I think I'd rescue my dictionary. And of course, all of mine.
Yeah. Of course, yeah.
My dictionary. I have an Oxford English Dictionary and a thesaurus beside my computer where I'm pointing over to my desk, by the way, in case you're wondering why I'm waving over there. I'm lined up. Because it's strange, although, you know, nowadays you can do most things on computer, there's still the odd word that doesn't come up and that I will go back to my dictionary for. So I like my dictionary. Plus, it's a great way of procrastinating. Oh, I have to look up this word. An hour later, I'm still flicking through fascinating words that you would never use, but I love the sound of them. So, yeah.
Yeah, I started keeping a thing on the notes on my phone of cool words that I come across when I'm reading that I've had to look up that are really, really unusual. So I've got a note thing on my phone of all these random words and what they actually mean as well.
Then you have to bring the conversation sometime. Yeah.
Some of them I don't even think I'd be able to. They're so out there and their meanings. I'm like, yeah, no.
It's hard to pronounce them sometimes, I find. I struggle with sometimes pronunciation of words. Mind you, I struggle with the pronunciation of English towns.
Oh God, yeah.
Places like Gloucestershire, Gloucester, whatever that word is, that's a real tongue twister for me. And
Yeah.
Worcester, that place.
Worcester, yeah.
Why is it pronounced Worcester? For God's sake.
Because English is weird.
Yes,
it's the weirdest language. I'm so glad it's my first language. Otherwise, I would not be able to learn it. I don't think it's just mind blowing.
Yeah, it is hard. Hard language.
Yeah. Weird. Yeah. Well, I don't think I have any more questions for you, unless you think there's anything I haven't asked you.
No, you've asked me everything. You know all about me now.
I'm sure that's.
I'm with you, Donna. So I might still have a mess, but we're going to meet next year, Stoke-on-Trent.
Yes, and I cannot wait.
Really looking forward to it. It'll be absolute fun.
It will. It's going to be such a laugh, yeah. And I can give you a hug.
You give the hug. We'll be hugging. Hopefully the world will be right next year, so we'll all be hugging. It's going to be a real hug fest, that Stoke-on-Trent thing.
Yes, it will. It will, yeah. If anyone actually, you know, stays at their table and manages to speak to people, that'll be a miracle, I think.
I'm bringing my husband. He's going to be there to guard my roller banner that I've got made in case someone tries to steal it, because it'll be so stunning.
Yes, I know. I'm really excited to see this now.
I actually said to the company they're making it, I said, if you think it's absolute rubbish, can you please tell me before you print it out? So they haven't got back to me yet. So I'm hoping it's not completely rubbish, but it'll be grand. It'll be grand.
It will. Yeah, absolutely.
It's got my name on it, so.
Exactly. That's all that all people need to know. They'll be, that's where she is. That's all we need to know.
Exactly. Donna, thanks a million again.
Always a pleasure. Do you just want to remind everyone about your new book
Oh,
and
yes,
where they can find out more about you?
my new book is coming out on the 4th of October, The Couple in the Photograph, and it's available on Amazon, on Kobo, Apple, all kinds of weird and wonderful places. You can even get it in Waterstones if you really want to. Online, I think, not in the shop. And I am on Twitter at Valerie Keogh 1 and Instagram on Valerie Keogh 2, I think. Somewhere like that anyway. And I'm on Facebook. So, and you'll find me here on Donna's website.
Yeah, I stalk you properly, so always find you. Yeah.
Stalking each other until we get to meet in Stoke-on-Trent, and then we'll hooks.
Yes.
Thanks very much, Donna. It's been good as usual.
Yes, it has. Thank you too.
Thanks a lot. Chat soon.